forgot to create a burn crater underneath the lunar module's 10,000-pound thrust engine.
Because it shouldn't be there to begin with. Yes, it was a 10,000-pound thrust engine, but as the lunar module was only about 3,000 pounds fully loaded, the thrust had to be slightly less than that in order to land. Any more than that, and they'd take off back into space. When you take into account the area of the engine nozzle, you find out that it only ends up being 1.3 psi. Is that enough to leave a blast crater? I don't think so! Every step you take on Earth is about 4 or 5 psi. Do you leave a blast crater with every step?
And what about stars? On the moon, with no atmosphere, they must have been quite a sight to behold.
More complete ignorance. It was daytime, and while there is no air, there was a bright ground with lots of stuff around, and the stars are actually pretty dim. Usually it takes an exposure time of a few seconds or more to bring out the stars, and if they had done that, they would have overexposed the moon's surface and the objects they were really trying to take pictures of. Why should they be concerned at all with the stars? They knew what the stars looked like already. They were there to study the moon. That was the whole point of going. Study the moon, not the stars!
Then there's the flag, blowing in the wind, on the atmosphereless moon.
It's not blowing, it's swinging. Look at the video. When the astronauts are planting the flag, they're twisting the pole back and forth to help plant it in the ground. See the swinging motion? Now watch when they stop moving it. It swings to a halt, and it doesn't move again until they touch it again. Here's a question. If it's waving because of a breeze, how come it doesn't blow around all the dust?
To demonstrate 1/6 gravity, a bouncy, floaty feel to the astronauts' movements would be similarly achieved with relative simplicity. Slow motion. You are viewing the scenes as they aired more than 30 years ago. Now let's look at them with the speed doubled. It becomes discernible that they are, in fact, in Earth's gravity.
Oh, really? Well, let's take a look at a different piece of footage. Does this look right to you? Is his jump in slow motion? What about his arms? Now look at it sped up. Do the jumps look okay? Look at the arms. Isn't it clear that this is way too fast? These scenes were not shot in slow motion.
Though the federal government would have you believe that this is a view of Earth from a distance out of the spacecraft's window as it nears the moon, it is not. What they have ingeniously done is placed the camera at the back of the spacecraft and centered the lens on a circular window in the foreground, outside of which it is completely filled with the Earth in low orbit. The circumference of the window then appears to be the diameter of the Earth at a distance, with the darkened walls of the spacecraft appearing to be the blackness of space around it.
Do I really need to tell you that's Bogosity? Here's what it would actually look like. So here's a picture of the Earth. If you have a small circular cutout you're looking through, it would look like this. That looks nothing like what is claimed by Cerebral. Not good enough? Okay, why don't we look at the whole video then? Here's a later part of that very same video. Let's let it play. Let's say we speed it up a little bit. Yeah, speed it up. Oh, right there. There's the side of the window. See it? Now let's let it play a bit more. Can you see it better now? This is a rectangular window, and the camera was pressed flat up against it to get the best view possible. And they moved the camera back as the Earth neared the edge of the window. What's more, Cerebral knew it. He had to. He had the footage, and he just selected out the middle part to make it fit his nut job theory.
Just 1 year before the first mission to the moon, NASA launched the Tetra satellite, specifically designed to simulate flight data coming from the moon, so that the ground crews could rehearse the landing, much as the astronauts did in their own simulations. Had it not supposedly fallen back to Earth, all that would have been needed during the actual flight would be a repeat of one of these computer programs transmitted to the satellite for rebroadcast to Houston. scores of computers and their deceived operators on the ground would then receive prearranged information, including the alleged location, altitude, and fuel consumption of the spacecraft, as if it were descending to the moon's surface. If the Soviets tried to find the actual location of an Apollo crew in the hundreds of thousands of miles surrounding the Earth and the Moon, it would be tantamount to trying to find a rowboat in the Atlantic Ocean.
Problem, you don't need to look around randomly for it, you can track it. And the Soviets did just that. So did others too. In Australia, Madrid, Jodrell Bank tracked it, so did many others, even amateur astronomers. What, did NASA get all of them in on the conspiracy? Even the Soviets?
Furthermore, it is apparent
No, forget it! Enough of trying to debunk all of these stupid claims. It still won't shut up the moon hoaxers. Basically, what they do is toss out a whole bunch of insane ideas, and no one could ever have enough time to debunk them all, but even if you debunk 499 out of 500 completely stupid claims, they'll still cling on to that one claim left over, as if it vindicates everything they said. If you can't account for every picture, every frame of every video, every word spoken on the moon, they'll always have something to desperately latch onto. But if all of their other claims are debunked, how can you trust them on the rest? The answer is, you can't. The moon hoax is still Bogosity and always will be. And if you want to debunk it, here's all you need: the Soviets. They tracked the Apollo spacecrafts. They saw the same videos, got their hands on the same photos as everyone else. If all of these things are so obvious, why would the Soviets have kept silent about it? This was an embarrassment to them. They wouldn't have gone along with it. They would have slapped it all over the front page of Pravda.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Capitalist pig dogs fake moon landings. They are crazy just like Moose and Squirrel.
The fact is, we did go to the moon. Whatever small-mindedness plays into the outright denial of the moon hoaxers, it was achieved, and it was certainly a day to remember for all of humanity. Bart Siebel and the rest of you moon hoax idiots, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Bogosity.